President Donald Trump called the Supreme Court ruling against his emergency powers tariffs unfair. Good evening, I'm Steve Eager. Reeling from that 6-3 defeat at the high court, the president railed on the justices who voted against the tariffs. Fox 4 Shaun Rabb in studio tonight with more. Shaun.
Yeah, President Donald Trump called Supreme Court Justices Thomas, Alito, and Kavanaugh courageous in their dissent of the decision that struck down his global tariffs. The six-justice majority, in their opinion, said the Trump administration could not use even $1 of the money raised under the emergency tariffs because of the president's reasons for imposing those tariffs.
The Supreme Court's ruling on tariffs is deeply disappointing, and I'm ashamed of certain members of the court.
President Donald Trump more than unhappy with the Supreme Court's 6-3 decision ruling tariffs in place for the last year under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act unconstitutional. The president ripping the justices who voted against the tariffs in place since April of last year, calling them a disgrace to our nation.
They're just being fools and lapdogs for the rhinos and the radical left Democrats, and not that this should have anything at all to do with it. They're very unpatriotic and disloyal to our Constitution.
The president saying he would, by executive order, impose an immediate 10% global tariff
on all imports from all countries across the board.
Liz Pencotti is managing director of policy at Groundwork Collaborative, a D.C.-based think tank and advocacy group with the aim of shaping economic policy.
And so right now, the president can impose this 10% unilateral tariff for 150 days before Congress has to step in.
The president's news conference played on big screens at the Dallas Economic Council, where Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent was to tout the Trump children's saving accounts. Bessent told the business leaders other sections of U.S. trade law in place since the 60s and 70s will allow the president to move forward with his tariffs despite the high court's ruling.
That have been validated through thousands of legal challenges. Treasury's estimates show that the use of Section 122 authority, combined with potentially enhanced Section 232 and Section 301 tariffs, will result in virtually unchanged tariff revenue in 2026.
The court's ruling did not apply to all tariffs, only those over the last 10 months enacted using emergency powers that the president argued were necessary to bring down trade deficits and fight fentanyl trafficking. The tariffs, a big part of the president's economic policy.
The important thing to remember is it is always the U.S. importer that pays the tariffs.
Dallas trade law attorney Michelle Schultz.
Those American companies are increasing their prices. And in the past few months, we've heard from different well-known companies like Levi's that they're going to have to go up on their prices.
More than $175 billion has come to the government by way of these tariffs, now called unconstitutional. That money must be refunded somehow. The high court didn't rule on that, and there are lawsuits across the country over tariffs paid by U.S. companies.
A lot of chaos and uncertainty when it comes to how those refunds will be paid out to those folks. And the court noted it would be, quote, a mess. And so I wouldn't tell folks to expect those refund checks anytime soon.
Now, this new 10% global tax in place for 150 days, 5 months. Then Congress will have to make a decision, vote to either extend the temporary tax or create new legislation requirements for how the president, any president, imposes tariffs.
All right, Shaun Rabb in studio. Shaun, thank you.
All right.
Now let's check on reaction to this decision on Wall Street. Mostly able to shrug off tariff news as all three indexes posted gains today and for the week. Investors took in that new data showing the U.S. GDP grew less than expected, with core inflation rising a little more than expected. Eyes are shifting now to private credit sectors as a concern over AI's impact now on software and software companies.